Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 113 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, incomparable Zach Jones, joined by my hermano de la same madre, Lester Jones.
Why were you going to try it if you didn't even bother to look?
I think I was almost right, but I don't know what's Spanish for same.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Same.
I was in the ballpark.
You nailed it with that Spanish.
I won't do this in Spanish, though. We also got the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, doing the deed and spreading that seed, the rootin' tootin', skeet shootin', filling up pies with the might of 50 guys. I ain't telling no lies. The phenomenal A.J. Singh.
All truths being told here, guys.
How many illegitimate children you think you got out in the world?
Lots. I'm like a football player over here.
You're putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. Well, we will be bringing a review of She-Hulk episode 7, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Later on, but we'll save that for the end for the diehards. But what else you guys been watching and or doing this year, or what feels like a year, but a week?
Yeah, watching She-Hulk felt like a week. No, I think this was my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, I think so.
It actually wasn't as bad as a lot of them.
Yeah, at some point watching this episode, I felt like, I think I'm starting to like this show a little.
I'm not ready to go that far, but it was
an
better.
improvement. Yeah.
I watched a show called Reboot. It's on Hulu.
Oh, I saw the thumbnail for that. How was it?
From like the 90s?
No. That show I used to watch too. That was like a cartoon, like an animation. Yeah.
What was that show?
That was like people
Like people were living inside the computer,
yeah, they were like computer parts, I guess.
and they were like 3D animations, like really chunky.
Wow, this doesn't ring a bell at all. And it was called Reboot?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Might have to look that up later.
But this one's got what's her name? Rachel Bloom from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I've been watching that show.
Oh, so now I know why you got it.
There's a link. I was like, and it's got Michael Keegan Key. I think that's his name.
Oh,
from Key and Peele.
Keegan Michael Key.
Keegan Michael Key. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's got what's his name from Jackass?
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville. Yeah. I think those are the only people. Oh, it's also got Paul Reiser, and yeah, like I said, Rachel Bloom.
Does it also have God, what's her name? Judy something or other?
Oh yeah, Judy Greer.
Yes.
I forgot her name.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got her. She's always looking good, man. She's always been a beautiful lady.
I agree.
Yeah. Even like she's probably like 50 something.
She's like one of those character actors that's in like a shitload of stuff.
Yeah, she really is.
She pops up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, she gets a lot of work. Huh. Good for her.
But how you like that show?
So far, I started out slow.
Oh, okay.
The jokes really aren't hitting hard. I hope it picks up. Maybe it's just like they're setting up the show right now. So
if I am not mistaken, like the premise is like there used to be like a hit show, and now like these are actors that are coming back in a reboot of that show.
Yeah, there was a hit show. It was like a sitcom, and it was kind of like a goofy, silly '90s sitcom. And the actors, they came back to do the show, but they've been told that it's going to be different this time, more like edgy and a lot better.
It's like that drama they made out of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes, yeah. And the new show writer is supposed to be Rachel Bloom, and the old show writer was Paul Reiser. And there's beef because he comes back and he's like, "Hey, that's my show." And
man, Paul Reiser's been in a lot of shit recently.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, The Boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's been doing like somewhat substantial, like supporting characters.
Yeah.
Do you think he was just saying no to work this whole time? He just decided to get back into
I'm sure he had enough money he didn't have to work.
Yeah, you never know if it's one of those things where like sometimes people drop out a long time, and sometimes it's just because they like want to raise their kids or whatever. And sometimes I think they like their career just goes downhill, or maybe they do other stuff and then they come back to it. I don't know.
Yeah, hard to say. But it seems like one of those things that's hard to walk away from because a career in acting is so like fragile. You could go downhill any second. One bad movie.
It is, but at the same time, like if you were one of those lucky guys that just was on like a hit show like the Big Bang Theory or something and you made your millions, I could totally see just being like, okay, peace out. I'm going to go live on an island somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine the people who get on like those shows like that and they're like, hey, I got like a bit part in like a something that's probably going to last one season.
Right. And then it explodes.
I mean, yeah, and the residuals, like those guys are set for life. Unless I know streaming is different. I'm not sure if they get residuals from streaming or not.
I mean, I think that's what one of those writer strikes was about. So, like, I think they do, but it's probably like a pittance.
Okay.
Who knows? Anything else you watch?
That's pretty much it for me.
And what about you?
I don't know if we mentioned it last week. I finished season of Severance on the cliffhanger. I think we.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about that.
What else? Did I watch anything this week? I watched something.
Did you finish Edge Runners Cyberpunk?
No, I've watched a couple more of those. I haven't finished it out. I watched some American Pickers again.
Yeah.
I watched one more Lord of the Ring.
Oh, okay. How's that?
It's okay. I'm not hooked.
It seems like
all right.
the internet's like has a lukewarm reception of that show as well.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anyone's like, "Oh my god, you got to see this."
But I don't know. I might keep going with it, but I mean, how many? I don't know. I don't know how far they're planning on going with it, and I don't know if I want to get invested.
Have you started Andor yet?
No, I wasn't sure if you were gonna dip out before it finishes, so I was like, maybe I'll just put that one on hold because I wasn't like.
I mean, now that I've started it, I think I'll probably stay with my
Right.
Disney plan long enough to finish it. But well, I might as well go into what I've been watching because that's one of them. Yeah, so I've been watching Andor. So I watched the most recent episode just last night, which was episode 4. And I got to say, like, I am liking it quite a bit. I think this is like a definitely a more complex, like, Star Wars story. Like, I kind of wonder, like, I don't think kids would like this one as much because it's a little more nuanced. It's a little more, like this last episode especially, like wasn't as heavy on action. It was more of like, introducing a lot of characters and like the different factions at play and a lot of dialogue. But like, I'm digging it, man. It's definitely has a different feel, I think, than a lot of Star Wars stuff, and I'm enjoying it. Let's see. I also went to the theater on Sunday and I watched a little movie called See How They Run, which is like an Agatha Christie type like murder mystery because I like those kind of things.
Agatha.
It actually kind of has like a meta angle to it because like the murder takes place around like a Agatha Christie stage play called The Mousetrap, which I think is like a real stage play. But then like I'll say this, like the actual like reveal at the end, like isn't the like strongest part of the film. Like to me, like the best whodunit is the one where like, the clues are actually laid out in a clever way. And if you like pay attention, like maybe you can solve it. Or like, even if you don't, you're like, oh fuck, the clues were really there. This one, like the clues were like kind of so subtle and like, once the reveal happened, I was like, "Oh, I didn't necessarily guess it, but I don't know if I would have." It's.
I used to feel that like I've read a couple Sherlock Holmes, and I felt like that. Whereas like he solves it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this was you can tell by the needle or the thread or something." You're like, what?
But this,
going on?
I will say, like Saoirse Ronan's character, very charming, and like her interactions with Sam Rockwell's detective character are a lot of fun. So it's really more like the journey's better than the destination.
Was the real reveal at the end Sam Rockwell's ass?
Well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil.
Big hairy reveal.
But it's a good movie. I wouldn't say you have to run it right out to the theater and watch it, but when it hits streaming, like I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was fun. It's just like the whodunit aspect of it was kind of underwhelming, but the rest of it was pretty good.
I usually like him, although he's not usually in the biggest of roles.
Sam Rockwell, he's like always really good in everything he does. I remember like when they were casting the Joker for The Dark Knight, and they hadn't like announced
he was in
Heath
there?
Ledger yet. Well, I remember reading a story. I don't know because I don't know if like he was one of the names the studio was actually considering, or if he just like put his name out there as like he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But there was definitely that story, and like I think he would have been a great Joker.
Like if I was casting and I heard those two names together, I would have went with him.
Me too.
But
I mean, Heath Ledger
was amazing.
Ended up being amazing.
Yeah. But
yeah, if I couldn't see either of them audition, and they were like, "You got to pick Heath Ledger or Sam Rockwell," I would have picked Rockwell at that time.
Man, I couldn't. When Heath Ledger was announced as Joker, I was like, no way.
Yeah, a lot of people were.
I mean, he was like such a happy-go-lucky guy. And charming. Like you don't really see it coming.
Like he doesn't. He's just a good-looking, normal guy, you know. Like,
right.
He's not the Joker, but man.
But yeah, he's the definitive Joker.
Yeah.
And then you know, I've also been talking about how I've been kind of going back and reading a lot of comics lately, and I've kind of been going back and reading like some series that I've already read but enjoyed. I hadn't done that in a long time. I reread a series from, probably the late aughts, early like teens called G.I. Joe Cobra, which is basically like, what if G.I. Joe Cobra was written for adults? Like, it's just, like, what if it was like dark and fucked up and like kind of like the HBO version of G.I. Joe? And it's really fucking good. Very noirish. Like, I highly recommend it to people. It's really good.
That's a book, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm surprised when I go back and read something like how much I've forgotten, but also like as I'm reading it, how I do remember it at the same time.
Like bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
Man, I don't think I'm gonna bother to pick up the rest of the Game of Thrones series for books. I couldn't possibly read them.
I could read it.
You can remember that stuff?
Well, I don't remember so many of the details, and like I'm at the point where like he says the story goes off the rails anyway, and he's going to write it differently. So I'm like, I might as well just read it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Plus, I know it's going to be a page turner.
Yeah.
So,
but man, like if he had just stuck with it, and like I don't know if it's possible to even like tie up all those loose ends, those threads, but. I mean, there was so much potential there. I still wonder who that lady at the beginning of the story is, who like warns Daenerys. Like,
maybe when we're like 90, they'll remake it.
Yeah, they'll tie it all up.
Man, like I read so many comics, and you know, I don't really read single issues so much. I usually read like the collections, but like even reading them that way, like, you know, a year and a half, 2 years will go by until like another collection comes out, and I'll be like, man, I remember like the broad strokes of what happened in the last one, but like my memory just like isn't as good these days.
Even the names will be like, because there's so many characters.
So many.
I'm gonna be like, who is this person?
I mean, think about how many more stories we consumed than like our parents did.
Oh my God.
Like they had 3 channels on television. Like maybe they read books, maybe they didn't. But like, there's just like so much. We consume so many stories with so many characters. It's like so much for our brains to keep track of.
I mean,
when you got Mash and Gilligan, what else do you need?
I know.
I mean, that is definitely contributing to ADHD, because like even for me as an adult, I'm like, I barely have any memory. I just look at my phone. I'm like a goldfish. I'm like, okay, I just look it up. You know, I don't store anything in my brain anymore.
I definitely feel like I have ADD sometimes, and I don't even know if I like clinically do, but I definitely feel like I do sometimes.
Do you remember how many like phone numbers and birthdays Mom used to remember?
I know. Well, even like when we were kids, we had to at least remember a couple phone numbers, like our own and maybe some relatives, you know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what your fucking phone number is. I barely remember my own.
Yeah, I do forget mine sometimes. They'll be like, what's your number? I'll be like, hold on.
Yeah, you start looking at your phone, you're like, where in the fuck did they hide my phone number?
It's always the hardest one to find.
Oh, you guys got anything else you want to talk about before we get into story time?
No, let's get into it.
All right, so we'll do a round of stories, and then we'll get into our She-Hulk review. So anyone who hasn't watched or listened, we're going to go around the table. Everybody will bring a wacky news story from around the globe to the table, and we'll see if we can't just make it something funny and or entertaining out of it. And as tradition dictates, AJ, we usually start with you, so what do you got for us?
An executive of a vegan food products company has been charged with felony battery and making a terroristic threat after a fracas outside a football game in which he's accused of biting a man's nose, officials said. Beyond Meat's chief operating officer, Doug Ramsey, has been accused of road rage attack outside Saturday's game between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Missouri State Bears in Fayetteville, Arkansas. A police report says the 53-year-old Fayetteville man attacked another man who tried to inch in front of him in a parking garage traffic lane and made contact with a wheel on Ramsey's sport utility vehicle. A police officer responding to the reported disturbance arrived to find two males with bloody faces. After speaking with Ramsey, the other man, a witness, the officer determined that Ramsey had gotten out of the SUV and punched through the back windshield of the other car. The driver of the other vehicle said he emerged from his car and Ramsey pulled him in close and started punching his body, and also bit the owner's nose, ripping the flesh off the tip of the nose. That man and witness also reported hearing Ramsey threaten to kill the man. Beyond Meat has not responded to messages from the station and Associated Press seeking comment. I mean, he's gotta taste the meat first, right? To make the meat. So that's what he's doing. He's just trying to make sure he's got the flavor of the nose down.
Doesn't like in Batman Returns, doesn't the Penguin bite some dude's nose?
Oh, I think you're right.
There is something.
I want to say that's true. I haven't watched that movie in a bit.
It does. I do feel like he bites somebody.
Well,
The Saigon whore bit my nose off.
Man, it's amazing the road rage people get.
it's getting worse, man. Or at least we're hearing about it a lot. There's so much anger at
You know
the
his
surface.
team lost, whatever his team was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's like, that motherfucker's got a freaking Marlin bumper sticker or something.
He's just driving home like, I'm gonna eat somebody today.
My team lost. I'm a fake meat millionaire. Life just isn't going my way.
Man, I was in a Uber the other day on my way home, and like in the next lane was like the left turning lane, you know, and like the light had just turned green, but apparently like the guy in the lead didn't take off as fast as like this old guy behind him wanted him to. So he like honks his horn, and then like I couldn't exactly see what he was saying, but you could just see him like yelling like "fuck you" or whatever, just like going off. I'm like, that guy's about to have a heart attack.
Yeah. That guy should just like put it in park and just sit there.
I know.
Just finish him.
You want to sit here? We can fucking sit here.
Man, yes, some people get fucking crazy in traffic.
Yeah, I think in every city there's got to be at least one incident of road rage happening all the time.
Yeah. Everybody gets that a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, with phones now, we're seeing like so many crazy things. Like I saw a video in New York where it looked like it was like a robbery on the road. Like this car knocked this other car off the road. This guy opened the other car's door and pulled out a briefcase and ran off with it. I was like, what is this high speed?
Damn. People are crazy, yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of assholes out there. Beware the asshole.
Yeah.
Well, should we dare to see what's in the old manifesto this week?
Pretty much he took my only story.
Oh, nice.
Actually, I've got one. It's a fake news, but we wish it was true. So I like this segment sometimes.
Fake news.
Sometimes you see a story so good, you just want it to be true.
But it's so disappointing when it's not.
Yeah.
It is disappointing, but they're crafted with such love, these stories.
Some of them are really good, and like I'm like, who takes the time to think of this shit and like the details, you know?
So this one, two overweight lovers, one 649 pounds, one 450 pounds, are making passionate love in the third story of their apartment building when the floor gives way and they fall through 3 stories.
That would have been good.
Yeah, I wanted that one to be true, but alas, fact checking did not prove out on that.
Do you think two people that fat have ever fucked? Do you think two people that fat can fuck?
I've
It,
seen no. I've never been that fat. But I did see 600 Pound
well, you
Life.
put the other half together.
I did date some fatties. But on 600 Pound Life, there was this woman who got pregnant from her husband, and her mother got them to work it out somehow. So she was physically involved to make it happen.
She was like doing the hoists and pulleys and pulling the
Something.
lanyard and
She was like getting this here and that there or something. I don't know how.
push.
You know what's amazing? There is no physical condition that a woman can get in that a man won't fuck her.
Yes.
I'm sure that's true.
Pretty much true.
Oh yeah, ladies, if you can't find that guy, call my cousin.
We do have a cousin. He's not the brightest bulb in the batch, but he will dick you down.
Trust us on this. Well, I actually just found this story, so I haven't had time to read it all the way through. So let's hope that it's good. Woman hospitalized for days after her dog pooped in her mouth.
What'd she do?
The life of a pet owner can be full of surprises. Usually, though, your pets don't earn you extended hospital stays. Unless, of course, they happen to take a dump in your mouth.
Unless, of course, that dog is the wonderful shitting Mr.
How many people do you think even these days know who Mr. Ed was?
I don't know. I don't want to know, to be honest. What breed was this dog? That's what I want to know, because I want to like make a little note. Do not get a Shih Tzu.
I knew you were going to go there.
I know.
It had to be.
I might use that as a pun in this episode title, but it's actually a Chihuahua. That's what happened to British mother Amanda Gamo, who happens to sleep with her mouth open.
Oh, thank God.
Not
she was
anymore.
British.
Her Chihuahua Belle had a nasty stomach bug, lost control of her bowels, and hit the bullseye.
Was it this hanging out like over her face?
Let's see. As if that's not gross enough, Gamo's experience only got worse from there. The 51-year-old quickly developed explosive diarrhea, the exact same condition her dog had. The difference was that Gamo's symptoms were much, much worse. She ended up staying in a hospital for several days as the doctors pumped fluid in her and tried to kickstart her kidneys. In the end, she got better and got to go home. But we can bet she'll be more cautious around Belle. Gamo's poop incident took place earlier this month. At the time, she was at her Bristol home and settled down for a nap. Belle, as always, was snuggled up next to the owner. But suddenly, the Chihuahua felt her stomach turn. Belle had no time to run for the back door. Okay, but could she have at least, like...
Aimed her butt somewhere?
Yeah. This seemed on purpose to me. As the violent bout of diarrhea knocked on her back door, the poor dog could only open the floodgates right into her owner's snoring face. See, I think they're assuming. I think that dog could have done almost anything else.
Yeah, she probably like accidentally stepped on it earlier in the day.
I was having my afternoon nap with Belle, like I always do, when I suddenly felt something squirt in my mouth, Gamo recalled. The mother of three reacted much in the same way as we'd imagine everyone would. She ran off to throw up aggressively, but she still had time for a selfie. Quote, I rushed to the bathroom and my son was in the shower, so before I washed the poop out, I had time to take a quick snap, she said.
What?
Wait, she took a picture before she washed the shit out?
I don't care who's in the shower. I'm getting that out of my
Yeah,
mouth.
you're getting in there.
That
with
would be
your
my
son.
priority. Now we
Move
know
over, Jimmy. Mama's coming in.
I know. Now we know why she. Now we know why she got sick. She took her time. Not sure why she'd want a photo of herself with dog shit all over her face, but to each their own. Suppose it's a memory. When Gamo finally got to throw up, it wasn't a one and done deal. Quote, it was disgusting, and I was hurling violently for hours after. I just couldn't get the taste out of my mouth, Gamo said. While she was preoccupied in the bathroom, Gamo's daughter took Belle to the vet. The animal doctor diagnosed the pooch with a gastrointestinal infection and prescribed her antibiotics.
Isn't that akin to like a a traditional English breakfast. Just kidding. I would marry an English breakfast, to be honest. Got everything. Could do without the beans, probably.
I was gonna make a beans joke with the poop.
I'm trying to think like there's got to be a pun with some sort of English breakfast.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I mean, this story goes on, but I think we got to the nuts and bolts of it. This lady got shit in her mouth.
Yeah.
The selfie thing does make me wonder, like, who would even think of that? Who?
Be like, this is going to get a lot of views. This might go viral.
Something's going viral.
Like, the bathroom thing doesn't make sense to me. He's in the shower. You just need the sink. You just need to get
you got a sink. You got a toilet. Figure something out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But she like caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror, and she's like, "You know what? This would make an interesting photo."
I'm gonna take
Posterity.
I mean,
the taste lingered because it was still in her mouth. Jeez.
Yeah, his taste is lingering. She's got a mouthful.
It just won't go away.
Well, that was my story. Should we get into She-Hulk episode 7?
She-Hulk, the best She-Hulk episode yet.
Now, like I said earlier, like I think this was better than a lot of the episodes. I still don't think I'd put it above like maybe like the first 2.
Oh, you think the first 2 are still better?
I think so.
I hated the first 2.
Yeah, the first 2 were kind of slow for me.
I mean, I don't think there's been any great ones, but the first 2 I was like, okay, maybe this will go somewhere. And then once it got to like 3 and 4, I was like, oh, no, it won't.
Now I know what to expect.
I think this, even though it was better, I think it's still the plot, or the overall story is still moving at a glacier's pace. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think this advanced things very much. But
I've gotten to the point where I don't think there is a like overarching story. Maybe it's just each episode is like its own thing, and then small little overall things. But
yeah, I'm really getting the feeling that once we see Daredevil, it's going to be like when we saw Bruce in the spaceship, and he's just going to be like, to be continued.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's going to be. Okay, so She-Hulk episode 7, entitled The Retreat. So we start off, Jen happily gets ready for her date with Josh, and there's like kind of this date montage where she's like has a good date with him that ends in like an awkward handshake. Then she has another one, and they almost look like they're going to hook up, but he leaves at the door again. And then finally, the third date's charm. They get to the door, and then they end up having some sex.
So I actually like this. I thought it was cute. It was kind of sweet. It was going well. And at the same time, like, they're going through all these dates. They're going through all this stuff. And I'm like, what are the odds this guy's going to turn out to be a douchebag? And I'm like, it's just... There's like this hint of sour in the back of my mind, right. This little seed, and you know it's not going to work, but it was cute, and you see her kind of falling for him, and
yeah, it was like a decently done montage.
Yeah. I did enjoy that. I thought it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it seemed like how a person would act if they were in that situation.
So when she wakes up, Josh is gone, and he won't respond to her text, and that's going to be a reoccurring thing.
Right. Then you go into the montage of her checking her phone for just days and days. So
yeah, first she texts, and like he doesn't respond right away. And then so now she's in her office with Nikki, and we find out that Jen is nominated for Female Lawyer of the Year, which is a thing apparently.
Was she nominated or was She-Hulk nominated?
She-Hulk, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, at that point you're like, it seems a little disingenuous. Yeah. It's like she had one case.
Yeah, exactly.
2 cases.
She just got hired on by that company.
She's the best around.
So now it goes to, like, her one date ended on Friday, so now it's Saturday, so Josh now has gone a full day without responding to her text. Jen is getting impatient, but then she gets called by Chuck, who is Emil Blonsky's parole officer. He says that Blonsky's inhibitor bracelet malfunctioned, and he wants Jen to meet him at Blonsky's retreat, so that if he has turned into the abomination, she can, She-Hulk out and save his life, basically. Right. So it turns out that Emil, as far as we know, did not turn into abomination. He says he got zapped by an electric fence while, like, trying to get one of his chickens or something. And so Chuck fixes the bracelet, and he wants to get out of there, so he leaves. Jen is about to leave when I wrote he was in. This isn't exactly right, but I didn't fix it after I wrote it. I said he was interrupted by a goat man and a fighting swordsman.
They were fighting on the property.
Yeah, they knock into her car, which breaks her car, basically. So we find out these two are named Man Bull. He's not a goat, he's a bull. Man Bull and Swashbuckler. And they're basically at this retreat working, I guess, on their anger issues.
Right, yeah, they're trying to get straight from their violent impulses.
So yeah, Jen's car is broke, causing her to have to stay at this retreat. By the way, conspicuous by their absence is his 8 wives or 9 wives or whatever that aren't in this episode at all.
Oh yeah, I forgot they came to his trial. Yeah, the little flower children.
You'd think at least one of them could make an appearance. They didn't want to pay those.
He tries to keep them away from Man Bull.
They didn't want to pay those extras anymore. So Jen is kind of like upset that she can't get any phone reception there because, of course, she's obsessed.
That montage is still going. Yeah.
Right. She's obsessed with Josh, wants to see if he's texted her back. And so, yeah, there's another montage where she's like walking around trying to get a signal. She can't get a signal. Finally, she gets a signal, but basically it's in a spot where she stumbles upon this like kind of group therapy meeting between Emil and a bunch of like these like, third Z-list,
bad guys.
Yeah, basically villains, I guess, or people with powers, or
they're like they have powers, but maybe they're a little misdirected or something. I don't know. But they're trying to get right with the Lord.
So one of the guys that walks into this group is named Wrecker. And he was one of the guys that attacked Jen with like the light up tire iron or whatever.
So this part doesn't really make sense to me.
It's not
really. Like the other people there have superpowers. Like I don't think he has superpowers.
No, I don't think so. He just, he had that magical weapon.
But also like the fact that he's here, how would you not like think he was
up to something?
Like one of like Emil's cronies or something.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be suspicious.
I mean, how small do they think New York is at this point? Like she's run into a couple people now. That guy she went on a date with, Tim or whatever.
I think it was Todd.
Todd. And then this guy, like she's meeting people over and over again in New York, just running into them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and the other thing, I didn't write it down, but number one, like they eventually in this meeting, they all kind of become friends, right? And he even mentions at some point that like, oh, maybe this Josh guy is just after your blood or something. Like he could at least like, if they're really like buddies by the end of this, he could have been like, oh, by the way, I was working for this scumbag that wanted your blood for nefarious purposes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. She never pursues that as like, what were you doing? I know you were trying to take my blood. And then she like lays down her defenses around him. And like never really questions him at all about it. Just like, oh, he's trying to be a better person.
Yes. So basically, when that guy walked in, Jen like, well, first like she kind of used the breaking the fourth wall thing, where she's like, did they previously on this character, like they do at the beginning of shows, like did they remind you of this character? Anyway,
they have the little
right
flashback to remind you who he is.
Because she's like, you probably don't even remember this guy, do you?
And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, she hulks out and like throws that guy in the corner, but then they're like, "Oh, you got to calm down," and that's when they all kind of get in this group therapy meeting. So now Jen, as She-Hulk, is in there. So Jen has a scene where she kind of expresses sadness that she's overshadowed by She-Hulk, which I actually think was a good scene of the show.
Like, I think that would have been like a good like arc actually, because they talk about her being kind of like mousy or whatever, and like she's kind of like a plain Jane maybe even, and then like kind of at will she can turn into this gorgeous, glamorous like superhero.
Right.
And like you could see how that could be like I don't know, it's kind of weird because it's kind of hard to approach that storyline about feminism, because like she's almost automatically getting like that gift. It's like everybody has like fantasies of being like that gorgeous, like attractive person. Like you can just pretty much do that on will, but then at the same time, like you're like, maybe people just don't really like me unless I'm beautiful, or you have all these kind of like psychological kind of gotchas, and I think that could be like pretty powerful components.
Right. It's like if you could magically change into that better version of yourself, and all of a sudden you were getting like all the good attention, then you'd be like, oh, well, people really then don't give a shit about the real me.
Yeah, right. They're like, they don't care about me unless I'm beautiful.
Yeah, and that's kind of what she expressed her. And so I actually, that was a good scene, and I think that is a good like idea for her character.
Yeah.
So kudos to the She-Hulk writers on this one. So then they encourage Jen to delete Josh's number. But my only thing is at this point, like, since she's hasn't heard from him at all, like, couldn't she still like suspect that like maybe something bad happened to him? Like,
Yeah, maybe even especially because like he's in contact with her, like maybe he'd been abducted or something strange.
Yeah, that's what I thought could have happened actually.
Right. Yeah. So it's like maybe she shouldn't have deleted his number, like until she was new.
But they talk her into it,
right? I thought they were maybe going to do the thing where like she did that, but then we find out no, she didn't really delete his number. She just, but no. Well, I guess they could still do that, but. Okay, so yeah, now Jen, she gets the tow truck, she leaves, and then here's.
Let's pause for a second.
Oh, sure.
Because we have all these guys in the meeting, and we didn't talk about all of them, but there's like a guy who is or thinks he's a vampire.
Yeah, he thinks he's a vampire.
There's a guy in like a porcupine suit,
right?
Which I don't know how much that expands to like who he actually is. You got Man Bull or Bull Man, I forget.
Yeah,
Man Bull, I think.
You got Blonsky and
Swashbuckler,
and then like the kind of wiener guy that attacked her.
Wrecker, yeah.
And Swashbuckler and Man Bull have a very codependent relationship.
Right. They're talking about their codependency.
They keep hammering that.
And they have like this, like a bromance or something.
Yeah.
But I see this group, and they kind of seem to be like on her side and going whatever. And part of me is like, I'm hoping that like they turn out to be like actually good guys, because there haven't been any in this show, and it's kind of like demoralizing. So I'm kind of like I'm hoping these are like kind of like the misgotten misfits, and they kind of band together and like.
Oh yeah,
they do seem that way.
It does kind of seem that way, and I'm kind of hoping that's where it goes.
I mean, the only one I could see maybe like being revealed to still be a shithead is the Wrecker guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really know much about him. It's just the fact that he's there at all is weird. But
I can't see them making Porcupine take a heel turn.
Sweet looking, like they got him to take off his mask, and he's like this sweet little black guy under there. Yeah. Like, but they're all like, "Oh, you smell like shit.
Your fucking face stinks."
Listen, I like you, but you need a fucking bath, bud.
You need to dip him in a pool.
But yeah, okay.
But they did feel like the most like low budget like characters.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
But I didn't write down, but she at one point was hurting for a yurt, and so.
Oh yeah, right. Because Emilia tried to talk her into a yurt because she was stranded there, and she's like not having any of it. And then she's like, "Oh, you know what? I am hurting for yurtin." And you're like, "Okay, you got that line in." There's our soundbite.
So yeah, she gets the tow truck, she goes home, and then this is where they drop it on us. We find out that 3 days earlier, Josh, after their sexcapades, he used his cell phone to basically copy the data off of her cell phone. Then he took a picture of her like sleeping naked, and then he texted somebody that we don't know, basically that he got her DNA.
Yeah, I think he took the picture as proof, like, look. See,
Oh,
I got
she's
her
really
DNA.
here.
Yeah.
Which is so like convoluted because like when she was all drunk and tore up at the wedding, he could have taken her blood. And then he's like, let's date like 17 times and put together this beautiful montage of us falling in love just to show that I turned on you.
I mentioned on last week's show that he's going to be like, yeah, I got her DNA on my dick. But like,
I'm glad you reprised that. Great callback.
I really feel like I didn't get the props for it the first time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But no, like we never see him actually like take her blood though.
Yeah, no.
So did he get dick DNA?
I don't know. He was all this like perfect man. That's how they did that doctor too. He's like, oh, he's a perfect man, and like they build it up, and they're like, no, he's a shithead. He's a real piece of shit.
Which guy?
Which doctor?
Like the muscular doctor she dated.
Oh, right. Yeah, he was only in it for She-Hulk.
He said it in court too.
I know.
He's like,
"Hey,
when
can
I found out Jen was around, I was like, yeah, She-Hulk, she's pretty hot though.
Which, how did he not know? That's so stupid. He knew. There's no way he didn't Google.
Yeah.
He didn't even bother to be like, hey, could you not do this? Yeah, not right now. Dog just shit in my mouth. I'm having a rough morning. I don't know.
And also, like, when she slept with that guy, did she sleep as She-Hulk to not, like, freak him out or something?
I'm not sure. Like, I think she got up before he did. And when he got up, he was like, oh, jeez. Oh, my dick.
Disgusting.
Please tell me you're her ugly maid. So stupid. But yeah, overall, one of the better episodes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Still waiting on Daredevil, though.
No Daredevil yet. Yeah, he's been hanging for a couple episodes now.
Yeah. I mean, how many episodes are left?
Just 2, I think.
Man.
Just 2.
But yeah, at this point, like, I don't see his appearance being anything exciting. Like I said, I think it's just going to be like, they work him in somehow, but he's like, well, if you need me, I'll be over here doing my show. I can't imagine he has anything substantial to do.
I see an end credit scene with like, hi, I heard about you.
Right.
We have the same tailor. Bum, bum, bum.
Can you believe he used that hag convention line on me as well?
You know what I was thinking about? I mean, there's so much like, is this supposed to be about feminism? And I started thinking about it. And what do you call like asshole men? Like chauvinist, male chauvinist? And I was like, if I was like a real piece of shit and I really wanted to like write women in an unflattering way, like pretty much all the other women in this show is exactly what I would write. I mean, Titania, just garbage. Like
Lulu,
which one was that? Is
the
that
wedding bitch.
Oh, the wedding bitch, Lulu. Which one? Which was the one that went out with Wang? Like the big titty, just like drunk all the time. Like
Madison.
Madison. I was like, Jen is like the only decent woman in this show.
What about Nikki?
Yeah,
Is that her helper?
Yeah.
I mean, she's got some enthusiasm and whatnot, and she's okay. Oh, remember that other lawyer? Like complete and utter, like just nasty bitch.
Miss Book?
Is that the black girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she's awful. I hate her.
I thought she's coming around.
I mean, she's definitely like
Like if you have some kind of fetish where like women just beat the shit out of you with like leather implements,
Oh, yeah, she could do
then I'd say she might be your girl, but no, I'm out.
I don't think Miss Book's not a total villain, but she's definitely like has an attitude.
Yeah, she's rough around the edge.
Right.
I see. I got you two pegged, or she does. See, with the pegging, leather strap on.
You got to take what you can get.
Oh, you two. Well, interesting.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Right? Mrs. Book. But she has kids.
Guys, do you got anything else you want to add about this episode of She-Hulk?
I still think that one guy's bad, evil. The one who was in the meeting, he's definitely up to something. He didn't tell her about his boss. He's that thread that leads to like the main villain, I think, in the future.
I mean, do you think he is attached to Blonsky?
I'd like to believe that Blonsky doesn't know about this. I'd like to believe he's taking a turn for the good.
Yeah,
The thing
I
is,
don't.
you do want to like him as a character.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to heel turn Blonsky, but like, it does seem convenient that record guy would be there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if they never bring him back.
Well, like you said, they've got like a couple episodes left. They have to squeeze Daredevil in.
Right. And they have to reveal like who is the guy behind the intelligentsia.
Yeah.
And like they got to do, when they get her DNA, you got to imagine they're going to use it to create a Hulk of their own.
Which allegedly they have it now.
Yeah, now they do.
But to me, like, they've done so little with Titania. Like, do you think she's just done? Or do you think maybe, like, the bad guy will, like, go to her and be like, do you want the means to fight her? You'll be my Hulk?
Maybe. Look, you do need to bring in Daredevil. And if you're like in Hell's Kitchen, you're in New York, whatever, then I mean,
if they did use Kingpin like he was talking about, which I don't think they will, it would at least like
it would fit.
It would connect all these shows.
It would
like,
bring some of the threads
because we know
together.
Kingpin's going to be in Echo,
Yeah,
and then Daredevil as well. So I don't see him.
He is a top villain.
But then they would be overusing Kingpin.
Maybe, but they need a villain reveal. They need somebody to be this boss, and they're trying to drag in Daredevil.
But the other thing is, no matter who this villain is, they're not going to get the mileage out of him in 2 episodes. So do you think whoever it is, they're going to like?
Well, that's the thing. He already has backstory. He always has history. He's already somebody you know. So if you just bring him in and say boom, then you get all that other stuff with it, and you tie it together. You're not trying to like build out some other thing and like. I mean, these are short episodes. These are like 20-minute episodes.
I mean, I guess if they did kind of connect this to Kingpin, and then like he was also an antagonist in Echo, and then Daredevil, they could kind of make his story culminate in Daredevil, and then that would also give him an excuse to
Bring
then
her
have
into that
She-Hulk
universe.
She-Hulk could come into a Daredevil episode and be a lawyer.
I think that makes almost the most sense to me.
To connect these properties.
Well, they're already connecting them, so why not do as much as you can right here? Because if you just bring in somebody else right now, like you don't have enough time to do anything. It's just going to be like, okay, that was weird and random.
Yeah, it does seem weird to me because, no matter who it is, they can't do anything compelling with them in a 2 episode
can't do
span.
anything.
Maybe they're trying to do like a Defenders type thing, not like the actual series, but like where they have like crossovers with She-Hulk and then Matt Murdock and perhaps other people.
I mean,
you're right, yeah.
Daredevil also has the common enemy that ninja group, right?
Oh, the Hand, yeah.
Yeah.
The Hand, yeah. So, I mean, that could be a possibility.
Yeah, it could be interesting if like the Hand was using her DNA to like boost up their soldiers.
Right, something along those lines. I could see that maybe.
That would actually be somewhat interesting. I just hope the Daredevil show has
Isn't just complete garbage.
that, and
Speculation.
I hope it has a much darker tone than this series.
Well, that's tricky too because you're trying to marry two properties that are pretty different in tone and pretty
Right.
different in content.
Right, like how do you mix like a comedy to a drama, you know?
Right. And you also have to bring in a male beloved character to some property that is really hating on men.
You know, I think I read somewhere, and this might have been speculation too, but that they were going to kind of use Daredevil as this character that kind of goes between all these shows and kind of links them together.
That makes sense because he's like a lawyer, so he would be involved in that side of the thing. You know.
You could see him pulling some of these together maybe.
I think it could be kind of cool to have like an episode of Moon Knight and Daredevil together as well. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Moon Knight. Yeah, I really don't know. We had some like plot holes with Moon Knight, but
There was, but overall, I still like that series.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the better ones.
yeah, really not sure where it would go to connect from there. I mean, you still got the Italian character, which they brought out at the last episode, right?
Right. The psycho killer.
Complete psychopath. Yeah, maybe.
Did either of you guys watch that little trailer they had for Secret Invasion a couple weeks ago?
I haven't heard of that.
It's going to be like Sam Jackson, Nick Fury, and it's also going to be like Skrull centric, where like it's kind of like a who's going to be a Skrull type of thing, kind of an espionage type thing. It looks good.
I mean, I don't think I've heard the term scroll before.
Oh, they're like a race.
They're shapeshifters.
Yeah, shapeshifter race.
They were in the Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, they were the ones running away from the blue people, from the Kree.
God, did I?
They were green.
You need to.
I don't remember shit.
If you didn't watch Captain Marvel, you need to rewatch
I don't think I did watch it.
Give it a watch. Seriously, give it a watch.
I'm pretty sure I didn't watch it.
I think it's worth a watch. You should do it.
There's a chance I did watch it, and it was just like trash.
No, it's good.
Captain Marvel's good.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I might have to look. I don't know. I like it. There's so many things going on that, and I haven't watched all of it, and like things kind of fall apart and crumble around me.
I know. I think you need to rewatch the whole thing. Just go on.
I don't have it in me.
From Iron Man.
I just don't.
It is a lot of content.
I struggle with Iron Man, especially the
first
one,
Iron Man is great.
The first one I coped with. The other ones I was just like I was struggling.
The third one
Hard.
is the worst.
I don't know,
The
first
third one's
Iron
definitely
Man,
one
I
of those ones that was like so much action, like I was falling asleep.
Which one?
The third one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's like all these Iron Man suits blowing up into fireworks.
Yeah, I would swear the final act of
I fell
Iron Man.
asleep.
The final act of Iron Man 3, I think, was guest directed by Michael Bay. It's just
was
action
bad.
overload. It's
Yeah.
To me, that's the worst MCU movie, Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've skipped enough that I can't comment on that. Like I got to where like if they weren't doing like 80 or 90 or above, like I wasn't watching it. I was just like I can't do it.
How many of them get that high though? Well, I guess
Yeah, quite a few.
Most of
actually.
them get over 80. A lot of
Okay.
them, but yeah, I fell out.
Well, guys, we still got some time on the clock. Do you guys want to do a round of guess the etymology?
Ooh,
Sure.
Etymology. This really hooks the viewers, I know. All right, let's get some etymology.
Yeah, these aren't our highest viewed videos, but they're fun. They're
Who
fun.
wants to watch me eat donuts? Oh, you already did that.
Okay, do you guys know the origin of the phrase blue blood? Blue blood.
I know it's like purebreds.
I think it probably has to do with like
involving
crabs
with
or something.
incest. It's like people of pure blood or like royalty or something.
I think it has to do with lobsters. I'm going with lobsters.
Oh yeah, they allegedly have blue blood, right?
So yeah, the meaning is noble birth. The origin Saying that some has blue blood comes from the Middle Ages, where it was believed that those who had pale skin, meaning their ancestors have not intermarried with darker skinned partners, were noble or aristocrat.
How long ago did this start?
The main reasoning behind it is that when your skin is really pale, the veins are more visible and they usually look quite blue.
Oh, okay.
You know, I remember when we were kids, like mom told us that like people like our blood inside is blue, but then when we bleed it's immediately like comes in contact with oxygen and that's what turns it red. I was listening to a podcast and supposedly that's total bullshit.
Yeah, I've
Yeah, I
heard
heard
that.
that
Yeah.
too.
I have heard that like octopuses and stuff though, they have like a blood that's instead of having iron, it has copper, so they actually have like green blood.
Oh yeah, I think I may have heard that as well. Do you ever wonder like some of the things like your parents told you when you were kids, like how much of it is like total bullshit?
A fair amount. And the thing is, I don't know, maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse, but like at a certain age, I realized like there was like a fair amount of stuff that I was told that was wrong, and then like once that was wrong, like I had to question like everything. It's like I didn't believe anything anymore. I was just like, nothing's true. It's all been a pack of lies.
You know, another one mom used to tell us that, like, I suspect it's probably bullshit, but who knows? Is she said, like, every time you sneeze, your heart skips a beat. So, like, if you were to sneeze, like, so many times in a minute, you could die.
I probably should have died by now.
Yeah, you sneeze in
Yeah.
panics, man. in groups.
Yeah, they just come in groups.
Okay, the next one. Every cloud has a silver lining.
I mean, that's got to be directly from clouds and the sunlight.
Let's see. So the meaning, negative occurrence may have a positive aspect to it. The origin, the expression can be traced directly from a piece written in 1634 by English poet John Milton called Comus, A Mask Presented at Ludlow Castle. He spoke of a silver lining of brightness behind a gloomy cloud, and soon afterward, Milton's clouds became a staple of English literature. The proverb, every cloud has a silver lining, eventually came into being in the 1800s, a time of optimism and positivity in the upper classes of Victorian England. Okay. Next, the whole 9 yards. I believe this is from that Matthew Perry, Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There was comical tension.
I don't know. Maybe people like walk 9 yards for like a wedding ceremony or something.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's a measurement of cloth or something.
Let's see. So the meaning, to do everything that is possible or available. Origin, during World War II, pilots would have a 9-yard chain of ammunition. When a fighter pilot used all their ammunition on one target, they would give the whole 9 yards.
Oh, okay.
That's actually an interesting one. I
I kind of like that one.
yeah,
Yeah,
I would not have guessed that one.
I like the ones that came like into being like 50 years ago. I'm like,
Right.
I would never have guessed that.
The next one, sleep tight. Sleep tight.
The bed bugs bite.
That's got to be some sort of military thing. Like they wrap themselves up tight to keep
Oh, like tighten the covers.
stuff out. Yeah.
Sleep tight. I don't know. I just think of like the lullaby, whatever bedtime story.
So the meaning, sleep well, said to someone when parting from them at night. The origin, it is believed that the saying comes from Shakespeare, another Billy Shakespeare. From Shakespeare's time, when mattresses were secured.
William Shakespeare, his unknown brother.
Yes. When mattresses were secured by ropes. During that time, sleeping tight meant sleeping with the ropes pulled tight, making a well-sprung bed.
Okay.
How were mattresses secured by ropes?
Is it like hay tied up with a rope? Or
Well, you have like the frame and you tie ropes across and you lay whatever on top.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that would suck because I suppose after a time of laying on those, like the ropes would loosen up and you'd have to like retighten them. That would be a pain in the ass. Next, piece of cake. It was a piece of cake.
I don't know.
I mean, cake's been
I'm gonna
around for a while.
Marie Antoinette somehow. I don't know.
Let them have their cake.
If this ends up being Marie Antoinette, let's see. So, meaning something easily achieved. Origin: the saying "piece of cake" comes from American poet, another poet, Ogden Nash, who in 1930 was quoted saying, "Life's a piece of cake." Some of these are just
But
like,
not
oh,
one of those gross cakes.
a random person said it.
Yeah.
Next, spill the beans. Spill.
Oh, The Office and Kevin. That was a heartbreaking scene.
All right, I forgot about that.
I loved that scene. I was like, oh, I felt so bad for Kevin. He's going on. He's like talking about how much he loves these beans and all his techniques and all this stuff. And then you're like, he's gonna spill it, but it still feels bad.
Any guesses on spill the beans?
No.
I don't know how spilling the beans would actually connect to like telling secrets.
Yeah.
Well,
Unless like you cooked like a mouse into your beans. He spilled the beans.
Let's
The
find
secret's
out.
out. The secret ingredient is rats.
So yeah, the meaning reveals secret information unintentionally or indiscreetly. Origin: the saying that comes from ancient Greece, where voting was done using beans.
Oh, I was actually thinking about this. I thought it was like little small stones, though. Okay.
It says citizens would put a white bean into the jar of a candidate they support and a black one for a candidate they do not approve of. So once again, black is considered bad.
Goes back all the way.
However, on a few occasions, clumsy people would spill the jars, revealing classified information.
Anecdote about spilling the beans and mystery meat. I was in the Army in the field, and there's like this mess tent or whatever. I went in there, and the guy, he's like scooping out and dishing to everybody as we go down the line. And like he gives me, he picks up this scoop, and there's like this giant chunk of meat in there, and he looks at it, and he sets it aside. He's like, not sure what that was. Just keeps scooping.
Oh my god. Not sure what that was.
It's not what you want to hear.
I was like, I wanted that meat.
That was Chihuahua shit.
that was the choice chunk of meat right
That was,
there.
yeah, that was
Nobody else got a piece of meat like that.
That was the fillet.
Filet au rat.
Oh, I think I actually know this next one. Pull out all the stops. So this is like, I believe, like those old like hydraulic like organs, like to change the pitch on them. Like you would pull out these things they call stops. So like if you were to play like a very complicated tune, you might have to pull out all the stops. So meaning make a very great effort to achieve something. Origin: organ consoles have knobs.
It would have been great if you were wrong after
Yeah.
That would
that
be funny.
elaborate like description.
Organ consoles have knobs that are called stops. Without them, an organist can play at a much higher volume. So pulling out all the stops would let the organist squeeze the maximum volume out of the instrument.
Have you ever thought about playing an organ to extract the maximum volume?
Done and done. The next one, run amok. Amok.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You beat both of us to it. Goddamn.
By the way,
that's
it's
coming out this month,
it's
right?
Out. It's already out.
Oh, it's out.
Did you watch it
We're
yet?
gonna wait till the October 31st. We're gonna wait.
You will not wait that long.
We're gonna try. Jai doesn't care about it, so he's fine waiting. So I don't know. We both have our heart set on watching, me and Raman, but we're trying to hold out. We'll see. Might watch tonight.
Any guesses on where that phrase comes from? Besides Hocus Pocus.
Run
Amok.
amok.
I mean, it sounds like muck would be like mud, running into mud or something.
I'm not actually sure alone what the word amok means.
Yeah.
Does it mean like a foul?
No.
Let's see. So meaning, behave uncontrollably and disruptively. Origin: the saying comes from the Malaysian word amok, which describes the bizarre behavior of tribesmen who, under the influence of opium, would become wild and attack people.
Wait, I thought opium was like a sedative.
Yeah.
Not for these guys.
Don't give them weed. God knows.
Sounds like more like they were on cocaine or something.
Right.
Yeah. Cocaina.
Crystal meth or something.
The next one, resting on laurels.
Laurel's a girl. And
and Hardy rested on it.
Meaning, be so satisfied with what one has already achieved that one makes no further effort. Origin. Since ancient Greece, laurel branches symbolize victory and success. The plan was closely tied to Apollo, the god of music. I thought Apollo was like the god of the sun.
Yeah, but some of them have more than one.
Oh, okay. The god of music, prophecy, and poetry. Laurel branches were given to victorious athletes in ancient Greece and later to generals who won important battles. Thus the term laureates and the phrase resting on laurels. In the 19th century, the term received a negative connotation to describe those who are overly satisfied with their achievements. The next, eat humble pie. Eat humble pie.
Doesn't it just mean to be humbled?
I mean, that's what it means, but where did it come from? Eat humble pie? I mean, maybe somebody made the shittiest pie in this village and...
What was that, the movie where, like, it was a white girl being raised by, like, black maids and stuff, and, like, one of the maids, like, took a shit in the pie. The Help. She took a shit in the pie and, like, fed it to this white woman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's humble pie.
That's humble pie.
I think it's like a guy that's really like bragging about how he eats a lot of pussy, and then like he eats like a really bad one, and they're like, not so
The
braggy.
most humble of pies.
This humbled me. The meaning: make a humble apology and accept humiliation. Origin: back in the Middle Ages again, there would be a huge feast after a hunt. The lord of the manor would receive the finest piece of meat, and the ones with the lower status would eat a pie filled with entrails and innards, which were also known as umbles.
I love this one.
Those who would eat the umble pie were considered to be humiliated since it symbolized lower status.
The humble pie. The umble pie.
What a disgusting description. A pie filled with entrails and innards.
Well, at least they weren't like wasting anything, you know? I mean, that's like
Humble pie.
the South, they're in slave times. Is like the poor people got like the shitty stuff. They got the entrails. They got the fucking, offal. They got the intestines and fucking, what do they call that? Chitlins.
I don't know what that is, though.
Chitlins is like chopped intestine.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've heard of oxtail. I don't know what exactly that is, but...
It's literally the tail of the ox. It's
The
just
tail?
like a tough, bony piece of whatever you throw in a...
It's very popular.
Well, like most tough cuts of meat, like if you put them in like a stew or something and you like let them cook for a long time, they're supposed to be pretty flavorful.
Okay.
But like, there's also like a cheap cut.
Mm.
Man, I don't really watch reality television, but years ago when they had that wrestling like Legends house show, I did watch that where they put a bunch of old wrestlers in like a house. And Tony Atlas was cooking. Is it chitlins? You said is like the
Probably
intestines?
chitlins. It smells like shit. Yeah,
And
because
like
it is shit.
Yeah, everyone was complaining about it, but I remember being so grossed out because he was like making them, and he's like, "You got to get all these doo doo balls out of here." And he's like squeezing the shit out of them. I'm like, "How can you eat this? You cannot get this clean."
So like literally, he's like wringing the shit out of it,
right.
washing it out,
Right.
and then like.
Right.
Pretty sure you have to boil it, right?
I mean, if you're just like a polite human being, like even if you were like, if this is your thing, like the polite thing is to fucking take it outside.
I know. And even then, phew.
I mean, like the anecdote is like, you got to wash the shit out of them. Literally,
Right.
yeah.
No thanks.
It's not.
And who wants to go through that much trouble to like make something they're gonna eat? Like,
Right.
I'm so hard up.
I spent hours preparing this.
I'm so hard up. I'm gonna make something that I have to squeeze the shit out of.
I mean, I've watched a lot of travel shows
like
where
how cheap do you have to be? You'd be like, listen, how much for that intestine?
This was 4 cents a pound. This was a steal.
He's like, don't talk to me. Yeah, 4 cents a pound.
I've watched a lot of travel shows, like in those Southeast Asian countries, like Indonesia, places like that. Like they have like a lot of intestines that they eat over there. They cook and grill them up and stuff.
I mean, if you're like indigenous or something, if you're like, if that's, I can see it being part of your culture, especially if you're like trying to live off the land or something.
Yeah, if you're in a third world country, I get it. But if you're
wanna
in
use,
Legend's house, I don't get it.
Legendary.
It's a choice.
Can you imagine, like, well, like, what if you grow up in a poor household and like that's what your mom cooks, and you're just like mom used to make, nice and shitty.
Where do you even get those from? Like, you can get those from a normal grocery store?
You'd probably have to go to a butcher. Actually, I think. Well, I went to Winco, and I was looking at tongue, and like I was like, oh, tongue. I bet that's cheap, and I pulled out a tongue, and it was pretty expensive. I was like, why is tongue this expensive? It's tongue.
Hispanic people use it in their tacos, I think. It's very good, actually.
Like, it's supposed to be, yeah, I've heard it's very good. But, like, it's the same thing. Like, you have to cook it for a while. You, like, it takes some time and effort. But, like, next to that, I think there was, like cubed intestine, I think, in there.
Don't they call it like tripe or something?
Tripe, yeah, same thing. Tripe is intestine.
Final one for today. Hands down. Oh, go ahead.
Something I would like to try is, like, real haggis.
Ugh.
You would not.
Why?
Even if I hated it, I'd like to try it.
I'd like to watch you try it.
Yeah, I'd watch you try it too.
I wonder if I can get some haggis.
I bet you. I mean, this is a big city. I bet you there's some restaurant that serves it here.
Well, I know it's, like, traditionally Scottish. Do you think, like, an Irish pub might have haggis?
Yeah.
Racist.
What? I mean,
You guys are saying you got haggis, right?
No, you wouldn't want to call an Irish person Scottish. They would not like that.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying they both might dabble in the same culinary field.
All right, fair.
The thing is, if I went to like an Irish pub, I'd want like a freaking shepherd's pie, probably.
Yeah, shepherd's pie I could deal with.
Shepherd's
That's fine.
pie is so
I like
good.
shepherd's pie.
I'd probably try it if they had. If I saw them both and I saw a haggis, I'd be like, I need to try that haggis.
Well, let's do some additional YouTube content. We'll videotape you eating haggis.
The thing is, like, well, some of those things you can't even buy, like in certain areas, like they're technically illegal.
Yeah, if there's like health code violations against them, then what can you do?
Yeah. How can you even get a haggis? You can't even drink raw milk.
Maybe they can ship it over frozen somehow.
Yeah.
Who wants to drink raw milk? I don't.
I drink raw milk. I drink half and half. I've drank like just straight cream, so I'd probably be okay.
I used to drink a lot of milk.
Oh man, yeah. When I was a kid, I drank. Apparently, it's not healthy for you, so I shouldn't have drank so much. But when you're a kid, they're like, drink milk; it makes your bones healthy and strong.
Yeah, those milk people were great at marketing.
Oh yeah.
Well, like they've studied like long living cultures, and a lot of them will drink like a glass of wine or something.
Yeah,
but also like one of the longest lived ones is like some of those populations in like Salt Lake, like they'll drink a lot of milk, and that was like one of the like those blue zone groups of people who live for a long time. So I don't know if milk's really all that bad.
How do you know it wasn't all those extra wives?
I would think that would not increase your longevity. It's like men live like 10 years less than women on average anyway.
That's true.
And that's probably from being around just one woman on average. I don't know if that's healthy or not. Actually, aren't people who are like in like dedicated like relationships, they actually do on average live longer?
Maybe, but right after one of their partners dies, the other one dies immediately, it seems.
That does seem like pretty common where one person dies and then it's just like it's a trauma and then the other person will die relatively soon.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, actually, I remember just like a while back, they had that horrible shooting in that Texas town, that school or whatever. Like one of the teachers or whatever that got shot, like her husband died like a little bit later. Just
I mean, it's like I think a lot of people will actually go through like a physical shock stage just from being around it.
Yeah. Okay, last one, guys. Hands down.
That's got to be some sort of military surrender sort of thing.
Hands down generally indicates like the best of something, right? Hands down. I'm wondering if it might be a poker term.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Like you check your cards and like they're good. You put your hand down, and then you just like
don't have to worry about it. It's all good.
It's all good.
I'm going to say it's a vote thing. Like hands up if you agree or disagree sort of thing. Hands down. I don't know.
Okay. So the meaning, easily and decisively without question. Origin, hands down is an idiom born from the world of horse racing. Think about it. You are so far ahead of the chasing pack that you, as the jockey, can sit back, relax, and still win the race, even without your hands on the reins. Winning at a canter is a similar expression, also from the track, but this one is better, hands down. So, like, you kind of had the right idea with the poker thing. Like, oh, I put my hands down, I don't have to worry about it. But it was from horse racing.
Like, even if the jockey racing my horse was in the front and he put his hands down, I'd be like, you fucking jackass.
You took a chance.
You took a chance. You were gambling with my money.
I think out of this group, I like the humble pie, and I like the whole 9 yards with the 9 yards of bullets.
9 yards of bullets, yeah.
Those are my favorite ones of this group. All right, well, now we're way past time.
We stretched that out longer than we would have been. Then I would have suspected.
It was fun, though. Well, if anybody that stuck around, hopefully you did, please go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, thumbs up, leave us comments. We love hearing your guys' comments, and you guys have been good about giving us more comments recently. Please also, you can subscribe to us in audio format on your podcast service of choice. And why not come over and bother us on Twitter? Guys, where can people find you on the Twitter?
At a name for this too, and that's number 2.
At OnlyFans, you can find me at Giant Rubber Dildos.
Can also swipe right on Grindr for him.
Grindr. I'm not gay, but I've given up on women. They're the worst.
After your She-Hulk review.
After watching She-Hulk.
Actually, no woman will be with us at all for us the way we've put down She-Hulk in the recent weeks.
I've been on board with you ladies. I appreciate everything that She-Hulk has to offer.
He loves She-Hulk.
You never gave your Twitter handle.
At unsolicited SUG.
I was like, is he too drunk to remember? And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.